Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Fans in Motion podcast, the only podcast that you didn't know you needed. I say to my one friend sitting in front of me, if we could travel back in time now when I handed you the key, I know you learned your magic well, but would you use the magic on me? Say hello, Josh.
I would not use anything on you. Um, but
There's a reason why I chose that lyric, that song. So,
why? Why? What's the reason?
well, so as a fan of Kelly's drumming, and we're about to interview Kelly's drum tech, I thought of what's one of the best Kelly drumming songs? And this one's always Seven Wishes has always been one of my favorite, just unique Kelly drum songs. So I know I've used Seven Wishes before, but I was just kind of scrolling through songs today, and I was like, this song always still comes back to. It's just such a unique, and I've always wanted to ask Kelly, and hopefully when we get back to interviewing Kelly, I will get to talk to him about this specific pattern that he worked out. But anyway, yeah, we're going to interview. What's the guy's name, Josh? You want to drop the bomb on that one?
We are interviewing today Richie Russo, which is Kelly K's drum technician. So
Yes.
here you guys are. We are bringing you the deep minutia for you Night Ranger fans, and this is just another part of behind the curtain. Richie goes through, his life and leading up to the career in music, and shares a lot of great details of just what it takes to be a professional drum tech, and some great Night Ranger stories as well. So I think you guys are all going to enjoy this.
Absolutely, and it's exciting for me too because I like this peek behind the curtain stuff, and I got a list of questions, and
Mm-hmm.
I was excited to talk to him about the stuff. So
And like I said, it's good to shine a light on these unsung heroes. We
truly,
we I was amazed when I was there in Houston. I mean, I always knew a lot of work went on, but just how much it even exceeded what I knew. So, but yeah, like when you see these guys, working and putting up, the equipment or just whatever they're doing for the show, say hi to them and tell them that you're
yeah,
thankful that they're there. Just stay the fuck out of their way.
yeah. Hopefully, this won't be there'll be more of these down the road. We're hoping, and get to learn these guys' names and give them a little shout out. I'm sure they would appreciate it a little. Hey, Richie,
Yeah,
how you doing? I saw you on the Fans of Motion podcast.
yeah. Make sure you plug us.
Yeah, definitely plug us. I mean, look.
There
So
you go.
the last episode we posted was the Damn Yankees, kind of the making of the supergroup kind of album, um, which was a fun episode to really dive in. I mean, that's an album I hadn't thought about since you brought it up as one of our topics, and I went back and listened. I'm like, God, I still love that first Damn Yankees album. I love the second one too, but I really just that
Mm.
first one.
And I think really it's an album that kind of bonds a lot of us because we were, all heartbroken. Night Ranger has broken up, and then we all have similar stories of how we found out Jack Blades is in
Yeah,
another group, and then on top of it, the album is good. I mean,
yeah,
imagine,
it's real good,
hey, Jack Blades is a new group, and you get it, and it's a turd.
and you're still like, yeah,
Yeah, but the album is great. I mean, just I just love listening to Coming of Age, and then the song ends, and then you hear that guitar riff for Bad Reputation. It's just like
yeah.
it never gets old. Um, and all the songs have held up. It's just still a good album, and it's definitely one of those time travel albums that you put in, and you probably remember where you were in 1990 when you
Yep.
were cranking that, in you know, your Chevette or
I,
whatever the hell you had.
yeah.
So yeah, so it was a good episode, a lot of good feedback. A couple things I want to talk about. if you do not have the cassette single or the CD single is the same. It's just a promo copy. Get this, because both versions of Come Again on here, the radio mix and the single mix, are different in a lot of ways. There's a lot more stronger acoustic guitar. The radio mix actually has a different beginning, which I'm going to play not much of because I don't want to get a copyright strike.
Yeah.
But this is...
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah, yeah. Lord, here I come again.
So the album version doesn't start off with the chorus, just starts out with the acoustic guitar. And there's other differences too. So find yourself the cassette single or the CD single that I have.
That's still such a great song.
And yeah, there's a real kind of thick acoustic guitar during the verses in those versions that you don't find in the album version. So there is a difference there. I thought maybe I had another. Well, I guess I have these. So there was the High Enough CD single, which has the LP version, Pile Driver LP version, and Bone Stripper. And there was a bootleg out there.
Nice.
And
is there anything on that extra? Is it the same tracks? Just
well, this is a live show. Damn Yankees,
Okay.
Damn Yankees, Bad Reputation, Come Again, Mystified, Pile Driver, Renegade, Don't Tell Me You Love Me, Cat Scratch Fever, and Coming of Age.
nice.
Recorded
That's
live.
a great set. I'd pay to see that again.
Recorded live in 1990. It's actually, I think this is a German bootleg, but not much to it. But back then, getting a bootleg was a big deal. It was the only way you could hear a live recording. So there's some other Damn Yankee stuff that I had forgot to mention.
So let me tell you real quick. So the other day I'm driving home and I have satellite radio, and there's a channel called Volume 106, and it's like a talk radio for music. Mark Goodman was the host. There's a show called Debatable, and they they had brought up every Tuesday they do Top 5 Tuesday. So the topic was top 5. I forget how they worded it, but it's songs by bands that have the same name as the album. I don't know what you call that, but I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, so it's like Black Sabbath, for example, would be one of the songs that was on the top 5. But their outro music to go to commercial was Damn Yankees. And I was like, hell yeah, Damn Yankees.
Well, Jack Blades is.
I was like, we just talked about that.
Yeah, you got Night Ranger, and then you have Damn Yankees, and
yeah,
So
anyway,
there
that
we
was
go.
cool.
But yeah, so the Damn Yankees episode was a fun episode, and I think everybody enjoyed it. If you have not listened to it yet, get on it.
Yeah, I mean, every episode is fun, even though it may not be a topic you're looking for. I mean, first of all, you get to see us, which I think, I'm a narcissist, so I enjoy it. You should enjoy it too. So moving on, Josh, is there any Night Ranger news that you can drop on us? Any hot? And I say hot because it's getting hot where I'm at.
Well, there's going to be new shows announced probably almost daily coming up. There was September 25th, Rock the Bayou, Firehouse and Autograph on the same bill. So that's a new show that's been added. And you have the Cleveland show, the Danny Rapepi Memorial Show, September 8th.
And we're going to be there, right?
We got a table. We're going to probably have a tent doing something. I don't know if we're going to be recording some of the podcasts there, but we will be doing something. So if you want to see our smiling, beautiful faces and contribute to a good cause, come to the Cleveland show September 8th. It's at the Jacobs Pavilion, which is an awesome venue. It's one of my favorite venues that that I've ever been to. Then obviously we got a new Night Ranger album coming out.
Oh yeah.
So there's probably going to, that machine's going to start kicking off. Kelly recorded an interview on Rock and Roll Happy Hour with Mark and Mike, which is Mike Vanderhoel from Y&T, the drummer. I don't know exactly when that's coming out, but it should be coming out soon. So obviously when it does, it'll be on Kelly's page, and I'll post it to our page. So there is a new interview coming out there. What else?
Probably won't be as in depth as our interview is, but I mean, it's worth listening to. I guess
Probably not. The website did have some hats, which they sold out of these. There is the black on black hat, and this one is still up there currently with the white logo. Very good quality. Adjustable back there. So there you go. Get that.
Is there anything inside of those, like the stitching, like you showed?
No.
Okay.
It's whatever brand it is, DTTO. But
I love the idea that little, almost like Easter egg of.
Well, that's this hat, the Dawn of Madness.
That's just awesome.
The Dawn of Madness hat, and then you're talking about inside there. It says Night Ranger Dawn of Madness on the inside stitching. So all the hats are actually really good quality. So if you're
love it,
wanting them, then to me they're worth the money. Or you can get the officially the Detroit Tigers licensed Josh Justofferson hat at all respectable retailers. So there is some of your Night Ranger news.
Now, moving on to new stuff, does that count as anything new that you got, or is that something not considered?
No, let's look at this thingamajig.
What do you got?
So I paid a little bit more than I normally would, but so whenever you're overseas, you don't have like ABC, CBS. You have Armed Forces Network. So they have, if you're overseas and you're whatever building you're deployed to, you'll have the TV there. The Armed Forces will basically has their own TV stations, and there's 4 or 5 or 6 of them, and really that's about the most contemporary as I've ever stayed as being deployed. Like probably the last sitcoms I ever watched was like the George Lopez Show and Bernie Mac, which I started thinking about. Like that's probably. Well, I remember when I did it, I was in Spain. So that was 2003. So, like, the newest TV shows I've ever watched are those two. And it was because of whatever I was doing, those were on at that time. And what they'll do is stuff's on at weird times because everybody's got different schedules and they just throw stuff on there. So, when I was in Afghanistan, I watched a lot of Craig Ferguson, the talk show host, because
I like Craig.
my shift started at 7. So, we would stop at the chow hall, get our food, go back to our building. And so at 7 o'clock, we would eat and we would turn on the TV and there was Late Night with Craig Ferguson. So that's how any TV I ever have watched usually has come from that stuff. So, and then the radio is the same. You would have radio stations that would be Armed Forces Radio, and it would be usually a rock and a country. The best country station I ever listened to was the Armed Forces Radio. I mean, when I was in Saudi Arabia, it was just great because you would hear, back then the new country wasn't that horrible, but you would hear new country, but then you'd hear Don Williams, and then you'd hear new country, and then you would hear, George Jones. And country radio here wasn't playing any of that old stuff.
No.
And when I was in Afghanistan, there was a rock and a country. It was great. I would hear Ray Price and Gene Watson. I'd be driving on the busiest flight line in the world, listening to all this hardcore country. But then the rock was great too, because you would hear Ozzy Osbourne, "Bark at the Moon," or "Over the Mountain."
Yeah,
a song you normally wouldn't hear, and then they would follow it up with like "April Wine," "Just Between You and Me," and
nice.
Then it would be, it might be "Damn Yankees," and then you would hear Steely Dan, Deacon
Yeah,
Blues.
Deacon Blues.
And so it was just good radio stations that you can't find in the States. I've always loved the Armed Forces radio. So I found this Armed Forces Radio Midnight Madness, and this was something that they would mail to overseas bases, and they would either have these played on the Armed Forces radio, or they would have these like in maybe little libraries where a serviceman could go and check them out. The other side is, you can see there, is not
Kim Carnes.
Night Ranger. So it's 4 songs from her record, and then it's 4 songs from Night Ranger Midnight Madness.
So what are the 4? Rockin' America, Sister Christian?
Well, it's not what you typically think. It's almost side A. It's,
okay.
You can still Rockin' America, Rumors in the Air, Why Does Love Have to Change, and then track 4 is Touch of Madness.
Interesting. So they just wouldn't. I mean, could you have access to a regular Midnight Madness, or was that your only access? Was whatever they sent in that version?
Well,
to any artist.
Well, this would be, like I said, this would be an official version given to the military. All right.
For the Armed Forces Radio.
Correct.
Right. So that's what they would have to play from. Okay.
Correct. So, and they could, and television. I mean, I don't know if they just had a station that would play music, but so this is property of the U.S. government. I mean, it has the warning label right there. So this
Do not sell this.
Kind of like what Department of Defense logo and everything. So this is given, basically, this is probably given without, you don't have to pay for it. Here,
yeah.
This is given to the U.S. military. They mail it out to all their bases overseas, and they get to play it on their radio, or like I said, they may have it like as a library. And a lot of this stuff is probably, chucked, destroyed once it's done. And so very few copies of these get out. So Night Ranger Midnight Madness on the Armed Forces Radio. That's pretty cool. So there's some new Night Ranger collectible stuff.
Let me show you I got my official, unofficial Fans in Motion Jack Blades Blue Blazer T-shirt
with the Kiss Alive 2 color scheme.
Kiss Alive 2 color. This is one of Brent's. I think he had this shirt on in a previous episode. I finally got me one of them, and when he showed me this, I was like, dude, I gotta have that shirt. And I think I told you I was out of town, and I ordered it like laying in my bed with my phone. I was like, I gotta have this shirt, and so I got it. Sporting the Night Ranger colors with a little Kiss Alive 2 on there, so there representing 2 important bands in my life. So yeah. What else? So Fans in Motion. Do you have it? I know Brent's not here, wasn't able to make this part of the recording. Are you able to pick up anything and cover him for that? Or?
Yeah. So Lance Rushing posted some great photos from the Houston show. A couple weekends ago. So. He said at Soundcheck he got to talk to Jack a little bit, and posted some great photos of him and Dwayne Vickers at the show. So that was cool to see those. And we got Kimberly Jane did a Then and Now of Eric Levy.
Yeah, that's cool.
That was kind of fun. I'm sure Eric appreciates that. And Reese Foster, a new member, posted a good photo of him with the band. So welcome to the page, Reese. And I'm trying to get to the main one here that everybody was talking about. Greg Olin. Fucker.
Hang on, hold it up. We'll see if I can hit a few of those real quick.
Looking forward to the next pod. What does every great podcast have that Fans in Motion is missing? A drinking game, of course. I am sure that you can all think of some better selections, but here's a start. Guaranteed to get you to come off a hard night of drinking Jack Daniels. Now, most of these actually are you guys. Cincinnati or Buckeyes referenced. I might do the Buckeye every now and then.
OH, baby.
Kiss is mentioned. That's
done.
That's probably Brent.
We just did it.
Ho-hos are brought up. That's you guys at the
that's
Man in
definitely
Motion
us.
show. Andy cramps up. Brent says Chapin Chapin. Brent or Andy reference the length of their friendship. Josh tells somebody to shut up, usually Brent. Somebody says blue vinyl. Well, I got black vinyl over there. Any work conflicts are talked about. Well, this is Brent's family conflicts. Someone says they're all good songs, great songs when ranking albums. That's you yahoos. Somebody says
Yes.
whammy bar. That could be any of us. Person is mentioned as a friend of the show. Well, you know what? They are friends of the show.
Greg, you are now a friend of the show.
Josh references someplace he was stationed in the Army. Well, I've already done that twice.
Done.
You motherfuckers are getting drunk.
Drink up.
And then some other people added some things here. Anytime Andy says, say hello, Josh, that's going to have a WKRP reference. We do like our carp.
Booger.
And anytime that Josh mentions trousers, more cocaine, less trousers in your lyrics, yo, on Dawn Patrol. Andy forgets the details about a concert he attended with Brent, which is pretty much every concert. Josh says his list is the best. Listen, my lists are the best. It's been scientifically proven. Brent does his Paul Stanley impersonation. Yeah, so there you go. Thanks, Greg, for your podcast, drinking game, and even the nice little cue sheet there.
Yeah, so those at home, I got to tell you, this one made me laugh out loud, literally laugh out loud. And I personally want to just thank Greg because, everybody knows I've had a rough couple weeks, and I needed a good, unexpected laugh, and that was perfect, man. I was like, this is awesome. And I wasn't laughing. I laughed because I think it's freaking awesome. So I hope everybody we will not play favorites, but pay attention, get your bingo cards out, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, it's nice that there's yahoos out there listening to us, picking up on all our bad traits. It's yeah. So it's not easy, folks. All right. What I challenge you to do is get your phone out and record yourself talking about Night Ranger for 2 minutes, and then watch it back. That's probably the hardest.
Do it for 3 hours.
That's probably the hardest thing is like listening back and hearing your voice. So there you go. Just Night Ranger Man in Motion. That's your topic. Hit record yourself for 2 minutes, and then watch it. Then watch it back and just like
post it to YouTube.
Yeah, post it on our page. We would love to see it. And but it's fun. I'd
like to see some impersonations of my open with my say hello, Josh. And let's get some people fired up and get some out there. Maybe someone's better at it than me,
Yeah, I mean, well, we might all be replaced.
I might be on the way out the door.
Yeah, so there we go with some Fans in Motion news or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, so I guess just before we wrap this part of the show up, I'm excited because it looks like the country's trying to open up. And that's where we're starting to see the concert dates. So that's the first thing I look for when I get up in the morning. I'm like, what's coming? So
it's going to be
I still want everybody to be safe, but I'm glad that we're getting to a point now where bands are feeling confident enough to book shows.
It's going to be a mad dash because everybody's trying to get the money out there. There's only so much money. And Live Nation has already booked more shows in 2022 than they did in 2019, the year before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So venues, I mean, the big thing is these venues are going to fill up, and then now these bands, whoever's left is not going to have the ability to play. I mean, you've already seen some of these rescheduled shows now getting canceled because they can't get the venue because it's already been filled. So,
I'm just looking forward to it, and hopefully people get out there and support these smaller venues too, these little bars. Like here in town, we got the Exit Inn is struggling right now, and the Basement East is booking a lot of shows. So I'm trying to get out there and support what I can. I want these venues to stay alive, and I want these bands to get back to making money.
Yeah, support the like the smaller bands and clubs. I mean, they're the ones that really need it. It's like Dead Daisies are playing in a club here in July. Like I plan on going to that, and just some of these smaller clubs and seeing some of these, bands like LA Guns and stuff that I enjoy. And, as long as it's not a long drive, I'll definitely go hit it up. Now, Night Ranger, I will drive.
We are making plans
as we speak.
Behind the camera. We're making plans for some shows. So, and we definitely want to support Night Ranger. We want to keep these guys as long as we can, man, playing and touring. And
it's going to be a fun summer. You're going to have new Night Ranger. Yeah. You're going to have Night Ranger shows. You got the greatest Night Ranger podcast in the freaking fucking world. And you have the page where you can go to a show and you're going to have 10 friends there already because they're on the page. Yeah. And if they're on the page, that means they're upstanding citizens, because I would not allow them on the page if they were not. So it's going to be a good freaking summer, man. So
and look for us. We're going to pop up at as many shows as we can. So if you're memorize these mugs, you might see one of us roaming the
Clear Lake, Iowa. I think I'm going to fly out to there and do that whole weekend. Wabash and Wisconsin Dells. We got
there's Nashville, there's Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg. I think we might try to make with both of those shows.
Yeah, I don't know if Nashville's been announced yet, but whatever. And we got there is the Cleveland show, and there's some other shows that are going to be coming out, and you have, I think, a show in Phoenix in November with Vegas, I think, the next day. Now, it's been shown that Vegas show has been canceled, but I think it's back on. I don't know. I will maybe try to get some answers on that. But one thing we've also missed, which we didn't realize till we about hit record, and I was like, you know what? What's today's date? Or I was looking at when this was going to air, and when I saw that date, I'm like, this is like the 1 year anniversary of our
ringing a bell
first podcast, episode 0. Meet your host. So that was. It'll be all year, just 2 days shy of a year. So really, this is our unofficial 1 year anniversary show. We may do something more official when we get Brent back on the line there. But yeah, 1 fucking year.
It still amazes me. I think a constant conversation that you and I have and Brent pre-production little meetings is how many members have joined this page, and I'm still astonished at the number where it's at now, and again how excited we were when we hit 100. We thought we were killing it.
Well, it's all again goes to Night Ranger for still putting on the great shows and the great music. But it was right before we started. I played a little clip of the very first episode, and it's like, God, we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, we still don't, but we really didn't know then.
Yeah, if you saw our notes, you'd know we don't know what we're talking about.
Or just how many times I got to edit, us talking about stuff, and But
if you haven't done it in a while, go back and watch some of the first episode. I think I was literally reading. I think I'd written something out. You looking down.
You had. Hello, hi, welcome to the Fans in Motion. This is a podcast on everything to do with Night Ranger, Damn Yankees. It's this. And the first 4 episodes are done on episode 0, 1, 2, and 3 are done on a different operating system. So there was no intros, no pictures, no editing. That came, I think, with the Greg Eckler video in episode 4. But it's just amazing how far we've gotten. I mean, we've had Kelly Kagi, Eric Levy, in Night Ranger now. We've had Joel, Gary, former members of Night Ranger. Hopefully I'm not. We've had David Lauser. What's great is I hit Lauser up, I don't know, last week, because when I was down in Houston, we talked about, David, and I just wanted to, just talk to him and catch up. And I don't know, I sent him a text or something, and he's like, dude, I'll call you in a couple. And like whenever I read his text, I read him in his voice. Like he's like, dude, I'm with Sammy right now, jamming for this benefit. I'll talk to you in a couple days.
And, like, no, just turn the phone on FaceTime and set it down. That's all you got to do.
And so, and yeah, then I saw the photos. Sammy was doing some benefit, and Kevin Cronin was there from REO and a dude from Train and all that shit. But it was just weird. I'm seeing there drumming in the back is David Lauser. I'm like, he's our buddy. He's a friend of the show. There,
Boom.
take a drink, mofos. So all that, and then moments like having Greg on. Greg was our first interview, and getting his story, and then him passing away in November. Just everything we've gone through in our personal lives. Just those ups and downs, but just how far we've come. 51 episodes, and I'm doing Kelly's social media, and
things have changed quite a bit in our lives in the past year.
It's just
especially
weird.
Yours.
I wake up in the morning and there's a text from Kelly. Hey, I posted this on the page, blah blah blah. It's like, and it's just like, it's like I gotta look again. Like, all right, that was Kelly Kagi. It's just cool stuff, and it's the page is just great. I can't thank everybody enough.
Yeah.
Our goal is when we get to do this fun stuff is I just want to pass as much on as I can. We all do want to pass everything we can on to everybody on the page. Cool photos that I was able to get in Houston and videos. We want to get everybody that stuff, and Kelly saying hi to everybody on the page while I was warming up. Hopefully we get to do more of that stuff, and it's been 1 year of fun and hard work.
Yeah. And just to piggyback on what you said the whole reason this even came about was just to promote this band that we love. It wasn't for us. It's never been for us. It's been to keep this band in the zeitgeist, so to speak. Just to keep people like, don't forget, this band is still out there, and they're still writing great songs, and go see them. Because, we love them, and someday, they'll stop touring, so let's see them as much as you can now.
Well, I had an ulterior motive. I knew that my kid didn't want 35 copies of Seven Wishes, so I needed to get in with the band so I could leave. So in my will, Jack's grandkids, here's 35 copies of
Since my son didn't want them, here's all the variants.
You guys come get the shit. It's fun, and I tell people, if you listen to the podcast, you've heard me say it 100 times, this should be on your fucking drinking game. Very rarely does a band that's been around as long as Night Ranger have one of their best decades this late in their career.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Since 2011, we've had 3 great studio albums, an acoustic album, a great live album, and great tours, great shows, and we got a new album coming out this summer in a couple months. So, I mean, it's fucking good shit. And you guys got this halfway okay, mediocre podcast where we get together and talk about our favorite fucking band, Night Ranger.
Boom.
So there you go. And this week we got Richie fucking Russo, man. Great guy. When I met him, he was one of the first guys I met when I was in Houston with Ed, and just a great guy. Made me feel comfortable. So you guys will all enjoy this. So Andy, take us into the interview.
All right, there you have it, folks. Let's wrap this thing up and sit back and enjoy an interview with Richie Russo.
And it failed.
You won't even know, Richie, when it started because it has started now. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Fans in Motion. And today, again, we kind of peel back that curtain and give you a little bit of behind the scenes. And today, our esteemed guest is the one and only Richie Russo, drum technician of Mr. Kelly Kagi of Night Ranger and drummer extraordinaire himself. Richie, thank you for coming on the the podcast. You are now part of the Fans in Motion family. And if you are playing the Fans in Motion drinking game, I'm sure you will be a friend of the podcast. Ding. Richie was one of the first people I met when I went to Houston to do some of the social media for Kelly. Ed sent me a text, say, "Hey, we're having drinks or food or whatever down here at the down here at the restaurant at the hotel." I went down. I basically sat with Richie and Ryan, and you guys were great to me. I still am very appreciative because it's very intimidating. You're going into this Night Ranger world, and that's different for me. And I was a little bit at unease at first, but talking to Richie, and then you even went the extra mile, putting your hand on my knee.
What?
Wait a minute, what?
I was like, this guy.
Richie, it ain't that kind of podcast, Richie.
I'm about to hit stop.
I mean,
But no, Richie, everyone was great, but Richie.
Are you talking about not the first drink? That was like the 8th drink.
oh,
Hey,
Let me tell you something, Josh.
I can still turn ahead. It's all that matters. But Richie, honestly though, you put me at ease, and I appreciate it. When I first met you. But thank you for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome. Hey guys, I had a great time. It's good to meet you. I'll catch you later.
And bye.
yeah.
Hey,
It's hard to recover from that hand on the knee thing,
tell me about it. I was the one there. But Brent and Andy Brent and Andy are both drummers as well as you. So I guess if we have
right, left, left.
If anyone has
Paradiddle.
any questions about actually being a musician, I guess I will handle those questions.
How dare you?
But anyways, Richie, let's jump into it. Where did all this kick off for you, man? Where were you born and raised?
Okay. Born in the Connecticut state. And then it was cold, so we moved to Florida when I was 9 years old.
So were you a Hartford Whalers fan?
Man, I was 9.
Well,
could be.
Yeah, I mean, and I thought, you guys basically got your first Whalers jersey at 3. I thought that was state law.
No, I mean, we were into hockey, but I wasn't. I was too young. Yeah.
So how big of a change is that growing up in Connecticut and then going to Florida? Is it something that was easy to adjust to, or?
Yeah, it was for me. I mean, I kind of don't even recall my first 9 years growing up as a little,
Mm-hmm.
knee high to a grasshopper. We moved to Florida. That's when you start to develop, riding bicycles and, making friends, and then getting interested in music shortly thereafter. So, no, it was much better.
And did you, was your family a musical family? How did you, what was your first instrument and how did you get into music?
All right, couple questions. Yeah, family, there was always music. My dad is and was an accordion player. So some of the memories up there in Connecticut were the parties at the house. He'd have a band over, like a quartet, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was jazz. So I had the uncle, the Uncle Joe, who was the drummer. And then I actually had, on my dad's side, and then on my mom's side, we had a couple other brothers, uncles of mine that were drummers. So, I of course, that's what I leaned towards. But it was always like, no. So then, when I get down into Florida and I'm like 10 years old, my first instrument was actually the violin. because they offer that in the school, and then you can you can carry that on the bus.
Yep.
You're not taking a 5-piece drum set on the bus. You know what I mean? So I went from violin to cello, and then right into drums after that, because it was the early '80s and it was cool, and MTV just had hit.
So what was in your record collection, let's say when you're 13 years old and you're starting to get into your own music? What, if you had to, what was the 3 records that was on your turntable at the time?
That would have been Kiss Destroyer.
There you go.
That would have been the second one. It was the double live Leonard Skinner, One More from the Road, which actually wasn't mine, but it was in my possession. I'd just take my older brother's records.
Yeah.
And then, because his collection, he was 7 years older, so his collection was a lot better. And probably one of the other ones I took from him would have been the 38 Special, Hold On Loosely. I had that super hot super hot chick in a little short shorts. This is pre Tony Katane anyway. Like
the pink shorts.
Yeah.
There you go.
And the wildly necessary dual drummers for the 4/4 beat.
Well,
and at the time I didn't have a clue. You see 2 drummers' names on the back of the record, you think, somebody played on 6 songs, somebody played on the other 6 songs. Who knew at the time?
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be that answer for you.
And so you're in high school, are you playing in like local bands? Do you have your own band?
Well, prior to even getting that far, was taking drum lessons for about 2 years, off and on, just on a practice pad. And then I remember like my parents owning a second house, so their tenant moved in, and he was a drummer. And then so my dad was like, "Hey, how about a special deal? You cut my son some lessons," and so. And I did that for about 2 years before I even got the drums, which I was able to convince my dad. I was taking him down to the local music store about once a month for a couple months in a row. And it was about 1 month before my 14th birthday or 15th birthday. He had the cash in his pocket. Excuse me. And we walked out of there with a 6-piece Gretsch drum set that very day, and I still have it. That's my studio kit, and
That's
so I was
awesome.
about 15, maybe 14 years old.
Did you know at that age that you wanted music to be your career, or did you have something else in mind and somehow, that didn't happen? What was you headed for? What was your goal graduating college or graduating from high school? Was it going to be music?
Yeah. I tell people like at around 16, I kind of made up my mind I was going in the music direction, and and then I graduated high school, working a day job, still living at home with my parents, and then trying to figure out, do I go to college? Do I go share an apartment with buddies? So I was kind of lost. I went in the Navy, and it was around the time when some friends were successful, like releasing a record and touring. But I went in the military, but I still played music and got with the ship's band, and knowing that when I was to get out, I'd have the benefits to buy a house, GI Bill, go back to college, all those things.
Smart.
And that's exactly what I did.
And when you were in the Navy, were you like stationed stateside, or were you on a ship?
So I was in Norfolk, Virginia, at the Little Creek base, which is amphibious. And I was actually on a 10-man crew boat. It's a landing craft. And for the first 3 years, I lived aboard that thing. It was like being on a tour bus. So, the way they had the bunks and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we lived below, below deck. We had a kitchen, we had a cook. So I was able, at the time, we go back to 1990, and I bought I bought a Yamaha set of electronic drums for about $1,000 in 1990. No cymbals, but I was able to have them on the boat, and there was another fellow there who played guitar, had a 4-track cassette recorder.
Yeah.
He had a keyboard. so we were able to mess around and make music and keep my chops up. And,
So
you know,
you spent 4 years in the Navy, correct?
I did.
So you're out of the Navy. Did you have something lined up, or was it like
No.
most of us getting out of the military? It's like, what the fuck do I do now? So you're out of the Navy. You're kind of searching for this new path. How did music, kind of the career re-enter your life?
Well, okay, I got home. I moved back in with my parents while I was trying to figure things out. I went back to a job that I had prior to enlisting. So when I got that job back, I had 4 years of vested time with the company because I left it for military and went back to it. So about a year later, I bought a house, moved in, was able to start converting the garage into a drum room, and was going to college a little bit, working part-time and getting into local bands and starting that. But I pretty much got into professional situations right away and started playing with somebody that I had a former drum instructor that played with him. So I kind of got my drum teacher's gig, which is kind of cool,
Yeah.
And then that was my first paying gig. And once you start getting paid to play, even if it's $40 or $50 for an hour set to 2 to 3 hours at a nightclub, at a rock club, you
What
kind
part
of
of
get it. Tampa.
Tampa, okay.
Yeah, so you kind of stop doing the garage band and pitching in to pay for rehearsal time, and you just go out and make money,
So what started first? You doing the tech side, or you doing the drumming, for a band side?
Oh, it was definitely drumming because, I mean, in the early 90s, after getting back into Florida, I played in a Stevie Ray Vaughan tribute band for a little while. And we would go on the road in a minivan. There'd be 3 of us. You go play 5-6 shows up down the East Coast and come home. And then, that was the early 90s. We'll fast forward to, like 10 years later. It was around 2000, somewhere around maybe 2000, 2001 is when the teching started coming into play. When I got the phone call from my friend Donald Tardy from the band Obituary, he was telling me about his future endeavor with Andrew W.K. And he was unknown at the time, but he was just been signed. So Donald asked me to be his drum tech, and I was like, "Hey, bro, like, why don't you set your own stuff up?" And he's like, "No, man." He goes, "This is rock and roll. Like, you set it up. I'll pay you to set it up for me, and I just come out, horns in the air, and kill it." So, I mean, I kind of knew that there were roadies. I knew what roadies were, but I never even went in that direction until it kind of came to me.
Yeah.
So you were doing the drum tech for Donald, and Donald was drumming for Andrew W.K.?
Correct.
Okay. And now,
okay, Andrew was unknown at the time and was putting the band together, and he was living in New York City. He bumped into somebody, or he met somebody. I shouldn't say bumped in. He met somebody who ended up becoming his manager. And when it was time to put a band together, he goes, "Well, listen, my favorite band is Obituary, and I'd love to hire this gentleman, Donald Tardy." The manager goes, "Well, guess what? We went to high school together."
Wow.
And so I know this guy as well. And so he handwrites a letter to Donald and explained to him, "Hey, my name is Andrew, this and that, whatever. I'm unknown." But, Andrew had just signed a deal with Island Def Jam Records. One of the last big pen and ink deals where he got like $1 million signing bonus. Come on.
Yep.
Yeah.
A cool mill in 2000.
And
So Donald became his drummer. Obituary was on a hiatus for about 7 years because of band members having babies and such. So he hired me. I became the drum tech, and our first tour was a headlining tour of the UK for about 30 days. Literally about almost 30 shows in 30 days. I mean, I don't think we had a day off. And I didn't know what was going on. I figured we were going to do that tour and come home. But that tour started somewhere in January of 2002. And we basically toured that entire year, maybe coming home for 3 or 4 days in between tours we did. We did the Ozfest. We did the Warped Tour.
Yeah, because he got big.
We did
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live, Conan O'Brien, Carson Daly Show. We ended off 2002 on a 3-week support tour of opening for Aerosmith.
So
Wow.
so you were teching with him when Party Hard broke.
Yeah.
Okay, that was the first time I remember Andrew W.K. was when that
Party
single,
Hard.
yeah, when that single
Yeah.
broke. So
Well, you know what? It was on like Madden, the football game,
Yeah.
2002.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
It was all over ESPN and different sports things. And
Commercials.
Tons of movies and commercials. Yeah. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure. Like I can tell you in the movie Old School where there's one of his songs right before the scene with Snoop Dogg and stuff. So,
Yeah.
so you're teching for Donald in Andrew's band. Tell us about the next progression in your career there.
well, I did become his drummer, but that was a couple years later. But during the first year where we're on Ozfest, and that's a typical situation. You're on their B stage, and they have 5-minute changeovers in between bands for 20-minute sets. And you would there's 3 drum risers, so we're able to play Tetris with drum risers. And what they did, they would stack the back line 7 deep. So it's a continue. I mean, it's so pro. If you do once you do Ozfest, you're golden. Kind of breaks your cherry for your career. Well, there was a particular date where the drummer, Donald, or DT, as he's commonly referred to, DT had his girlfriend in town, and he was like, "Come on, honey, hey, it's like time to go to the stage." And I guess he didn't realize maybe the times had got bumped up 15 or 30 minutes. I don't recall. And he's like slowly walking to the stage, and he's like, "Why are they playing our music before our set?" and he starts running. He's like, "Shit, Richie's playing." and so he gets there. I've already played 2 songs, and we wasted a song waiting for him. And Andrew finally going, "Are you sure you know these?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He didn't even realize I knew the stuff. Of course,
Yeah.
that's what you do as a drum tech. You sit in the back and let it absorb, and
Sure.
you don't open your mouth because then they think you're trying to take a gig. You just wait until they need you, and then you're there. So, yeah, he came, and he got on the kit and finished the set, and boom. And then fast forward about 2 years later, then and we knew this at the beginning of the tour, but Obituary had a show somewhere in Europe that during the middle of an Andrew tour that Donald had to bail, and I was going to be playing for about a week. But before I played the gigs, we did double drummers for about 7 to 10 shows. He left. I played with the band for about 7 or 10 shows, and he came back. We finished the tour as double drummers again, which we ended up doing that from that point on. And I did some major festivals that way, and like Taiwan in front of 50,000 people. And at the time, I was still his tech and still like ran the backing tracks and set his stuff up and mixed his in-ears and played the show. So I mean, basically I had a 15-year relationship with the Andrew W.K. band, and I was the drummer for about 12 and a half and the tech for about 2.5.
Well, let me ask
Well,
you. Go ahead, Brent.
It's a beautiful thing about drumming. We hear it, and it sinks in no matter what. It's like, I've said it with Andy's band. I had to play with songs with them that I'd never played in my life, but I know them because I've heard them all my life.
True.
When looking back, you starting as a drum tech, basically, hey, I want you to set my stuff up. that whole situation, you getting your first start there. Looking back, is there anything you ever kind of just or like maybe embarrassed or like I can't believe like I used to do stuff this way or or I didn't know like how this actually went? Like, is there anything you ever look back on and like, man, I didn't really know what the hell I was doing starting out? Is there any fun little stories like that?
Well, the first tour, I was green. My guitar tech friend was green as well. And, we had a stage manager guy that kind of, at times, took advantage of us, had us, like, remove the hair from the casters of the cases. Stuff that you'd have local hands do. And he was just kind of breaking us in. And but he did have a system. His system failed. It was not his fault, but the one time that we were doing a loadout and some random dude just walked down the streets of England with one of our bass guitars.
Oh.
Nobody could catch up with this cat. By the time we realized that, no, that's not a stagehand, and they stealing our guitar. So you just kind of wish that things like that wouldn't happen. I mean, heck, I was playing a gig with Andrew at a university in England about 2012 or 2010, and his shows were pretty much known that the kids get up on the stage at some point during the set. He never invited them. They just ended up coming up, and it was usually towards the end. And we're doing the final song, and some little, word that I'm not going to say, something sucker. He looks at me, we're playing, and he looks at me and he grins, and he just reaches up and grabs the overhead microphone and pops it in his pocket and runs off. Now, granted, it doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the house. But just the fact that the guy looked at me and grinned and took it, I went looking for him. And there's no way I was going to find him, but
Sure.
Pete,
What the hell?
you had to steal a $300 microphone, you little.
Yeah.
And how is it like? Do you ever get those moments like, let's say Ozfest, where you're back here? Yes, you're working, but like you look around and like, how the fuck did I get here? Like do you remember the first time you had one of those moments like that? It just kind of blew your mind as like, wow, this is something different than I ever. I used to have these guys on my posters on my wall or whatever, and here they are right now. I mean, was Ozfest like that, or?
Well, I don't know. There may have been a half a dozen or more of those types of moments, and it does become when you do kind of brush against some of your heroes, and then you kind of go, okay, hey, Charlie Benante, he's cool.
Yeah.
And there may be somebody else. I'm not going to dog. Like, oh, so and so is a wanker. It's all in how they treat you, and I'm a genuine person, no matter if I'm a drum tech or drummer or whatever. There was a lot of times we'd be doing gigs and I'd get mistaken for the tour manager or the security. It's like, no, I'm the rocks, the guy rocking.
So you get this gig drumming for Andrew, and you said you were, his drummer for almost 12 years. What made you make that change to stop that? Is that something that came on their end or your end?
Yeah, well, no, my decision, it was opportunity knocks. There were times, well, it's a rocky career. Like, you have this guy, Andrew W.K. That's his career. You have me, I work for you. So you could be having a busy career and you're like this top A, B list artist. Meanwhile, your crew or your drummer, your musicians, you're barely paying rent. We're doing 10 shows a year or 5 or, the last big run I did with him in 2012 was 50 dates. 50 dates which included a world tour, which, we went to Europe a couple times and headlined at some festivals and went to Japan and this and that. Well, 50 dates isn't enough for me to feed my Josh. I like to eat. You see me. 50 dates don't cover it. So after 2012, and so, through the grooming parts of his career, I was there teching. We did SNL and Conan and this and that. Well, in 2012, I got to play on Conan O'Brien towards the end of the year. And you think your trajectory is this. But when you peak at that's your performance, and then the next year, boom, you back down to 10 dates. So in 2013, I moved to Nashville. Still kept the Andrew gig, and I didn't leave him until I was offered to be Kelly's drum tech.
Why the move? Why the move to Nashville?
The move to Nashville was many parts.
Because Andy wasn't there yet, so I know that that's not. I mean, it would be an understandable reason, but he wasn't.
Well, I'm moving back.
Come on.
To Bellevue.
Come on, brother.
So
it's getting expensive here.
I know. So we'll get to my reasons of moving later, but to why I moved to Tennessee at that point was I was, playing in Florida for 20 years in the same circuits. I had some great years where I played with 20, 30 different bands. I had a year or two of, like 200 to 300 shows a year. Man. And so I got to thinking, and it was post a marriage, divorce, and I married a female singer, and we were doing a duo and a band and this and that. She was good, but I was like, I need to be, instead of, a little fish in a big pond, I need to be a little fish in a little pond. Florida and Tampa was wide open and big. Nashville's a lot of people, but small. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I did well there. In my first 2 years, I played music only.
Wow.
But I got tired of being broke and sometimes not paying my cheap rent. I ended up in a place with 3 other drummers. So rent was cheap. And then the night range, one day my roommate comes home and he goes, hey, and my roommate was a drummer for this guy, Josh Thompson at the time, who our monitor guy and production manager, Howard Bennett, was also working for the Josh Thompson organization, and offered it to my friend Zach. And he wasn't interested in becoming a tech, and he came home, he's asked me, I said, yeah, I'll drum tech for Night Ranger. Who do I send my resume into, So he gives me Howard's info, and, I didn't think I was going to get it, man, because all my resume, Andrew W.K., Obituary, Trivium, Mastodon, Napalm Death, Unleashed, metal. And, here comes Howard. He goes, well, I read your resume, and I said, the death metal didn't scare you? He goes, no, it shows me that you know how to put a show on. You know how to load in and load out, and, so...
So let me circle back to Nashville real quick before we get into the Night Ranger world. When you went to Nashville, did you, having this prior experience with like Andrew W.K. and doing this touring, was that something that was an asset, or was it actually something that was held against you?
Yes, it was both. It was a double-edged sword. I think I might have said it was to my benefit in another interview, but it doesn't matter. The thing about Nashville is they want a butt in the seat. Mm. And it's like, you get a call. Broadway is the main strip down there where there's a couple hundred bars, whatever. You get a call to play it. Hey man, we need you tonight, 6 to 10 at Whiskey Bent. I'm on my way. Boom. You get down there at 5 o'clock, you're parked, you're pulling your stuff down the street with your cart, you're bumping into people, bums are trying to rip you off. Guess what? Johnny Two Sticks already beat me to the gig because he got the call too. And it's like whoever gets there first, or, so it is a lot of networking and, ass kissing, brown nosing, drinking with the people. I actually thought I was going to leave Florida, get away from people that drank too much, and I went to a place to where it was almost recommended or enforced that you.
Some of the best times I've ever heard that I've had were on Broadway in Nashville. Layla's $1 PBRs till 6 o'clock. Those were.
Now they're $6 PBRs till 1 o'clock.
Those fuckers, but. I always heard I had a good time there. So you get this gig, you get the resume to, the Night Ranger guys. How familiar were you with Night Ranger coming from that metal background? did you have a light blue Blazer in 1985 like Jack Blades did?
Like I did.
No, it's a crazy story. So I was like, oh, I remember Night Ranger. Everybody does. Yeah, Don't Tell Me You Love Me. You Can Still Rock in America. Sister Christian.
Yeah.
That's about all I could name at the time. But I'll go back to my high school days where I was hanging out with buddies and I'm in the back of a friend's car and he had the Seven Wishes cassette that ended up in my pocket in my cassette player.
Nice.
And then I'm partying and hanging out with him again 2 weeks later, and the guy had the same replaced Seven Wishes cassette in the back seat of his car. So guess what? Richie has 2 copies. So I mean, when I have a lot, when you say you come from this death metal background or have that in my back pocket or my resume. I mean, at the time, I loved metal, but I was also into jazz. Big time jazz fanatic. I don't know if you can see behind me.
Yeah.
That's a nice painting of. It's a Gretsch artist, and it's this drummer by the name of Chick Webb.
Ah.
So that's a painting entitled "Ode to Chick," and I picked that up one time in Austin, and I had a little store that was right by a hotel, and so.
That's cool looking.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
thanks.
So tell us about the first time meeting the Night Ranger guys. Do you remember where that was?
Well, yeah. Well, I had to meet Kelly first. So at the time, I meet Howard. He gets my resume. We had a meeting at Starbucks, a good hour. We had an interview, and Howard was ready to hire me. So he put the call into Todd Confessori, who was the tour manager at the time. And, he's a busy man. And I went to Florida. I was in Florida for about a week. I actually came down to do and work the first, they called it the first annual, but it was the first ever, and they still haven't done it yet, but the first Florida Metal Fest that was put on and headlined by Obituary. So they asked me to become part of the event, and I drove down, and I worked the main stage and drum tech for everybody on that day. And then it was like that day or a day later, I finally got a call from Todd, and he's like, "What? Where are you?" "I'm in Florida." "I thought you lived in Nashville." I said, "Well, I'm down here doing a gig. I need you in Nashville tomorrow." I'm like, "Well, I need 2 more days, So, all right, so boom, and Todd was real stern. He was like, "Well, you may or may not be the guy, He goes, "We got to try." So then I come back to Nashville, and I went to this storage place. It's a sound check. It's a rehearsal hall. And I see for the first time, we coordinated, Kelly's going to come in at 2 o'clock. So I get there like 10 or 11, and I meet Howard, and he lets me in. And here's your stuff. So I go and open boxes and drums and stuff I'd never seen before in my life, referring to pictures, and then basically put his drum kit together. He walks in, gets on it, and said, "Let's do a show." And that was
Wow.
it. I put it together from never seeing it before, and I was good.
I'm so jealous of that.
So now what was something? I mean, getting the job, you probably form some idea of what it's going to be in your head. What was something though that was totally unexpected or different with that Night Ranger gig than something that you didn't see coming? What was different about that job with Night Ranger?
Everything. From my first show with them was a cancellation. So my actual first show was what we call a fly date. So I had to set up a rental kit with stands and not his rack. So to do a first show, when he comes for sound check, it was totally maneuvering pieces to get it right, And then also being the keyboard tech and not knowing crap about keyboards. So doing the first show or first couple of shows, the thing of it is, you do not get a handbook. You don't get anybody telling you what to do or how to do it. You just kind of got to do it. So it took a while for me to realize when the times were when Kelly's going to sing Sentimental Street. Does he go to the wireless microphone? Does he not? It's not a constant. He makes up that decision at that point in time. So if he goes to the wireless, then he has a tray on his left, and he has to. So if he puts it, I have to retrieve it. Just certain things that it took. Not only did it take weeks and lots of amounts of shows to learn, and it took a while. It took about 3 months before I even got a compliment. I mean, from Kelly there was, but it was like at one time from Jack, we were riding to the airport the next day, going home, and I was in the car with Kelly and Jack. Jack reached up, "Hey, buddy, good job this weekend," So it takes a while, but yeah, it's a lot of people think they can do it, and you have to be built for the type of demands that somebody, because their demands 1 minute might be not the same the next or the next day or the next show. Different sets of demands constantly.
So when you're doing those fly-in dates, because that was going to be one of my questions about who rents the kits. Is that your responsibility?
No, I mean there's that's production.
Okay.
So production manager handles that. So we have a full backline spec. That stuff gets emailed in. They have to meet it 100% or reply with substitutions. Then once those substitutions are given back to the production manager, and he'll forward them to me for me to review, approve, disapprove. Okay, we're in Podunk, Missouri. The backline company responded. They can only fulfill 10 out of the 12 items. Then I'll know in advance, I got to make sure I bring the other 2 items or FedEx them or however we make those moves. It's done well enough in advance to.
Well, that happened. I'm sorry.
That's what they call that an advancement. You advance the shows.
Yeah, that happened when Andy's band actually opened for Loverboy, and we were backstage talking to Matt Fournette, and he was talking about how it was hell getting a good set of Yamahas because that's what he endorses, and he has to play them, and they had to be a certain color, and he was complaining because they didn't get the exact right color,
Well, I mean. Come on there. What's he want? The green M&M?
Well, it was just one of those things where, like I said, they forwarded over what they needed. I guess they were told, and then he gets there, and it's not set up totally right. And
I'm surprised to hear that because you would think he would understand. You take a certain backline company in a city, you're going to have a Yamaha drum set. You're going to have a DW. You're going to have a Pearl. And a Tama, and a Gretsch. You're not going to have 6 Yamahas to appease a color.
Yeah.
You're just not going to have it.
Yeah.
And I just,
unless you're loaded.
Yeah.
And I just want to let everybody in Podunk, Missouri know that we do love you.
Well, I got one question. So who brings the Night Ranger drum heads?
Yeah, that was going to be my other one. Good job, Andy.
Well, nobody did that before me. So we didn't used to on fly dates, and there was the instance where we did the 35-year video shoot at the House of Blues in Chicago for that CD-DVD combination.
Yeah.
I had gotten the graphics, and Howard and I went to a Kinko's. No, we went to a Fast Signs. Because we had about a week of production and pre-production at a rehearsal place. I went to Vic's drum shop. I got the drum heads I needed. And then I'm in the hotel room applying these.
A giant sticker.
Here, I'm going to move the iPad. And I'm going to show you my house real quick. Here's a little bit of a
Oh my!
electronic drum set, and I don't know if you see the drafting table.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So I actually have one of those since you brought it up. For an eight, I don't know if it's coming for. So I do all the installs on all the drum heads, and so there was one show wherever we were in. Not a podunk, okay. You know, it was. We show. They come out and they come out for sound check, and they're like, the whole band's flabbergasted to see the logo on the drum head, and I just smile and
That was me.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Um,
so that's what we would do on a fly date. We would FedEx gear, cymbals. I'd send this little case with the drum heads in it, which is always good because I made sure it wasn't an added cost, and that hey, I could put extra drum heads in there because it's the other thing. When you advance, they're not always going to get the drum heads right either. So, always try to keep the artist happy. Keep Kelly happy.
walk us through a typical day, if you can, of let's just say Houston. That day where you have a gig that night at a local venue where you are headlining, holds, let's say, 1,000 people. Just walk through a typical day that you and the crew would go through.
Sure. You take a typical 9 p.m. show. We're going to load in 9 a.m. We're going to be there. You get the local hands, unload the truck, bring everything to the stage. We generally will get 8 stage hands. You hope that they understand what a snare drum is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tell them, hey, I want all my drums out minus the snare drums. I got 4 of them, and I don't want all of them out of the cases because, hey, I got 2 drummers looking at me.
Yeah.
You know how thin the bottom head's on a snare drum?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you get some knucklehead, he's going to set a snare drum down on top of something that's going to rip the head.
Yeah.
So, I'm real particular. I'm like, don't touch my snare drums, So you have to coax and talk through these people and get them to. And then also, look, man, we're for the last year we've been, hey,
Yeah.
can you
Yeah.
get that snare step? What? Yeah. So it's a lot of work. So basically, I'll fast forward. I'm a rambler.
You're all right.
All right.
You got about 3-4 hours to get everything up and ready for sound check, and then that way the band can come in and I always try to be show ready at sound check. That way, from that point on, my day's gravy. I set up drums, I set up keyboards, I basically do the title and jobs of the stage manager, and so we don't really have one. We just all work as a good team, and we have the drum riser, so drums are on there. I have a keyboard riser. We have a keyboard drum rack.
Yes.
Gibraltar makes one. It stands up a little taller than the X-Brace stands, and Eric was a little slumped over. So, it looks cool. We've got cool things and set carts, and everything is. It's a rock show, man.
What kind of adjustments would be typical adjustments maybe Kelly would make at sound check?
Oh, we're gonna move a cymbal up or down. We're gonna change the angle of the snare drum. The seat might go up or down, and all that's gonna depend. Like, hey, I lowered my seat at home. I want to lower it here. I raised my seat at
Yeah.
It's all those kind of things. So I've tried to set him up at home. I've been at his house a couple times into the studio recording with him. I love Kelly. I know his drum setup better than him. Like, I'm like, Kelly, you got us all wrong. Let me take care of it. So.
And now, so then the show starts. Describe what you're, because that was one thing. Obviously, I know, just being a fan, I know that there's a lot going on with the crew.
Right.
Before
That's
the
a good
show,
question.
I know there's a lot going on, even when the show's going on. But being backstage and seeing the sound check and seeing, really what was amazing was you and Ryan, what was going on behind the scenes while they're playing was like this. It was almost like a football team, everybody was coordinated and knew where they had to be. So talk to us a little bit about once the show starts, now what are you doing?
Good question. I'm glad you brought it up. Man, I'll be honest with you guys. I talk to a lot of people. They think, oh, you set the drums up. What do you do when the band's playing?
Yeah.
No, I leave the venue for about...
Get a burger.
I come back before the last song. I want to slap people. It's like, no. I said, I'm an integral part of the show. There's 5 guys on stage. There's also 3 others on the stage. We're just hidden. We're cloaked, or at least we try to be. And we're stage left, meaning on the point of the stage, as you're looking out to the audience, I'm on the left. There's a difference between stage left and stage right and house left and house right. And people don't understand that as well. That's a good way to quiz a stage hand. Hey, take this over to stage right, and they go over to the left, So a show starts. What we generally have a walk-in music and then an intro song. And when it's time for that intro song to go down, it's called tape drop. And then Howard is radioing. He's talking to the front of house, Carl. He's like, all right, drop tape. So at that point, that means the band has come up the bandstand. They've come up the little walkway behind whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes behind the guitar vault, sometimes behind the backdrop. They get their bass, they get their guitar, I can't give Eric his keyboards, they're out on stage. I make sure Kelly's got his gloves on, he's got a pair of sticks. If he doesn't have those coming up the ramp, I can see I got them in my pocket. I got that stuff ready. I go back to Kelly, I have a flashlight. So there's no stage monitors, there's no floor monitors, there's no wedge monitors, there's no side fills. There's no ambient sounds coming off the stage other than the drums and the sound out of the amplifiers. Everything else is heard back to the musicians through their in-ear monitors, through a little pack. So I go to Kelly with my flashlight, I make sure his pack's at 12 midnight or 12 o'clock, and he'll go, I had it a little higher at sound check. Okay, cool. I'll bump it up a little higher. That's very important because if I go too much on anyone's volume, it could be detrimental. So I'm very careful of those. Make sure that, we give the band what they need prior to walking on the stage, whether it be a sip of water, a sip of beer, a shot of tequila, you name it.
Yeah.
And then I have the floor where they're going to walk through taped with neon tapes, and then we use a different color flashlight, a black light flashlight to shine onto that. So then they can walk on the deck in the dark and find their spots. And then the show kicks off. What I'm there for during the show, I'm on in-ears as well, not headphones, but my in-ear monitors. I'm listening. I'll hear a crash get broken. I'll have the replacement waiting by the time Kelly even hits me up on his talkback and says, number 2 cymbal down. I try to be, or either I'll see it or hear it. And there's certain songs where I know, okay, Sentimental Street. Kelly starts it off. He's the singer on it, but Eric starts the keyboards. There's a little intro that gives Jack enough time to come over and have a sip of water, towel, fan, whatever. So, what's my role during the show? I'm there to make sure that they got everything they need on the sidelines, man. Their drinks, and just be a happy face for them. Hey, how am I doing? How's my hair? Looks great. But there's a little more than I can go into.
Well, I was going to say, just real quick, I'd imagine you hear the show so much that you could probably be doing something and you can hear something went wrong. And you got to know right now, probably, Jack needs a new bass or Brad just broke a string.
Yeah, I could care less.
Whatever.
I could care less about the strings and stuff. There's somebody else's job. No, but
you know it. You know it because you hear it so much.
I'll tap either Ryan or if we have a microphone, we can talk to each other. and I'm like, hey, this or that. But I've heard microphone stands fall over, and that's an undeniable sound when a microphone hits the floor, and it's piped into your ears. So you
You're
go,
like,
oh shit, what's that? And I run out and get it. And,
Mhm.
we're not three single techs on stage that don't. We're one. We're three guys that make up one unit that all help each other out.
Yeah.
We
That's
have, like I say, we have the ways to talk to each other, and I'll be like looking around. I'm going, "Where's that drumstick?" I gotta. Kelly drop a stick or throws his sticks in the air at the end of a certain song. I gotta run out there on stage and grab it because I don't want the guy who didn't see it to roll his ankle over it.
Oh yeah.
Because I pick and choose when to go out on that stage. You go out there, emergency sakes. I'm not just going to stroll out and pick up a drum. I try to give Brad enough time to pick it up and toss it to a fan. If they can't, or if I know he's not gonna, I'll get it so it's not under his foot. Those kind of things.
So do you do any, when they're recording in the studio, do you do any work with them while they're doing that, like setting up the drum kits, for the recording session?
Well, yeah, I did this previous recording session. I was in Phoenix at Kelly's house for about a week, and we got the kit, and we went to a studio. Basically, I set it up in his house first to make sure we had all the parts. Then the next day, we took it to the studio, and I was with him the entire time. So in between takes, I'm tuning, and and then we're changing out different snare drums for different songs and stuff like that. Now, I also worked on the previous record. They did "Don't Let Up." Kelly was living in Nashville at the time, and he tracked it at his house. He was already set up, but I went and tuned him up a little bit before he was actually going to cut the songs. So I worked on 2 records with him. Yeah.
And you tell us how great this new record is. Give us all the details. I talked to James. He said yes. Richie can tell you whatever he wants.
Yours band is Cream Magazine telling Kiss, "Oh, we can take a picture of you without your makeup on." Bill O'Coin said it was okay. And what do? They take a picture.
Man, it's gonna be killer.
You sound just like us. It's like we weren't allowed to whatever a couple tracks we heard, but that's all we could say was
it's great.
It sounded like classic Night Ranger. It's what you've been waiting for.
Man, I don't think so. I disagree with you.
All right.
I think it sounds like futuristic Night Ranger. It sounds like the band that you fans haven't heard yet. Like, I got to be honest with you. I mean, they may have, I don't know what the final titles or songs are going to be actually titled. I only know whatever working titles. But I'm in the studio, in the engineering booth. Kelly's in the drum room. He's recording the song called "The Hardest Road."
No. I don't think we could say that.
Probably. Oh, I could say it's a song title. Like I said, they may change it.
All right.
Okay. Working title: the Hardest Road. So I had a come to Jesus experience, man. I had religious. That song moved me. I told Jack after the fact, I was like, "You guys got to release this song on the CCM, man. This is a contemporary Christian #1, man. I mean, it had me in tears almost."
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there.
Man, that's cool.
We go.
It's going back to a Psalm 85 days or whatever it is.
Psalm 150.
There you go. That's close.
Jack, what we're talking about is one of Jack's first bands was a Christian rock band back in the early 70s, and they released a record called Psalm 150.
You've got it right there.
Do I?
Yeah, you got it.
I put it away, but here I'll give you a little exclusive because I know I can find it real quick. Here is. You want to see some early Jack Blades in this Christian rock group? Look right there.
That's a female.
With the glasses.
There he is.
Well, Jack Blades is next.
He's looking like Ronnie Millsap there.
And here
Big
is
spitting image.
here's the record. Now he's not on the cover, but if you look, this is the first recorded song that I know of that's out there, written by Jack. You can see his name there, and the song title I think is called "I Live." I live in you. Take my hand and walk along with me, and
Yeah.
guide my hand because my eyes just want to see the light. So yes, Jack has had some experience with the Christian rock world.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you know what? I'd love to hear some of that, but I tell you the stuff I want to hear. You probably got it on your wall. I need somebody to send me a link to some Rubicon and some stereo, man.
Well,
I've heard Night Rain. I want to hear Rubicon.
we got I've got
Josh can hook you up.
I got probably 10 Rubicon albums over there. I can even give you the test pressings, but
Yeah.
You can get on YouTube too and watch it on the California Jam.
Nah, you just need to get it on vinyl.
Right.
But yes, I tell you what, you want to listen to a whole different Jack Blades. Definitely go to YouTube, like Brent said, and watch California Jam. He's almost got this like Larry Graham funk bass type
Yeah.
style.
It's a giant bass. I mean, what's the thing they did with Dick Clark?
Well, that was American Bandstand.
Because you see Brad and Jack in these satiny.
Yeah, well, that and the Merv Griffith show.
It's a good look.
We'll send you a link. But yes, as of stereo though, if you watch the Kelly Kagi interview number 2, I don't think any of that stuff really exists. If it does, it's definitely not out there. So
True.
now you being on the road with Night Ranger for almost 5 years or so, what is your, just as on a personal level, what's your favorite part of the show or favorite song that they do live?
Yeah, I really think like When You Close Your Eyes. That brings back some high school memories.
Yeah.
I always like Kerry Kelly gets up on the set carts in the middle, right before he goes into that ripping Jeff Watson guitar solo, and I'll look at him and I'll give him the devil horns or a bird, or he'll flip me off or something, and so that's a key. There's things like that. If it doesn't happen every night, it happens on a 99%. He might be checking somebody else out, or
Well, it's funny you say that song, because I always argue that that's the quintessential Night Ranger track out there. It covers every base of what a Night Ranger song should be. So I'm going to throw out some names here, and I want you to just tell me something fun, interesting, maybe something maybe people don't know. You can tell me their deep, dark secret that you blackmail them with. It's totally up to you. So if I throw out the name Eric Levy.
Oh, Eric. Oh, man, Eric's the coolest, man. He's the first one I watched you guys doing a Eric Levy podcast.
Yeah.
So I guess I was like, oh, let me see what these three jokers are about. As fans in motoring thing here. And I was like, all right, cool, man. Because I think it was the one where you had Eric do his 10 tracks or something.
Midnight Man, yeah.
Well, no, he did.
All the keyboards.
Okay, none of you guys know the name of the episode. It was his favorite Fitz riffs.
Fitz. Yeah.
And I think he had 13 of them, but they weren't ranked. But yes.
So Eric, came out of that jam band scene.
Yep.
Which I was into, but there was, for some reason, I never grooved on
Garage Mahal.
Garage Mahal. I was like, well, these guys trying to sound like Taj Mahal, because he's straight up blues, And, But it's amazing because a couple years ago I was with Eric. We went to Alan Hertz's studio, who is the drummer from Garage Mahal, and he's actually on some solo Blades records. or at least one of them. But and they cut a track, man. It blew my mind. The talent that Eric has.
Yeah.
Like Hertz set up the session. They played the song once. They talked about it for 2 minutes. They played the head and the riff, and they got through the tune. Hertz played on drum, and then Eric went and did like solos on 4 or 5 different keyboard instruments, and it was the coolest thing ever. And then Alan Hertz took us to dinner, and as we're sitting in some Italian restaurant in the Valley, they're like, "Oh, be careful, but turn around." And I turn around and look on the way out. We see Clint Eastwood leaving the restaurant.
Cool.
So what if I throw out the name Carrie Kelly?
Beer.
Well,
So Carrie-
I was going to say that might just sum it up.
Well,
Yeah.
Kerry
Upset.
likes beer. He has a couple of beer restaurants and breweries up there in the old Vegas region. And he's just the coolest dude ever, man. Like, we got along really quickly because he was familiar with Andrew W.K. So he was like, okay, cool. We got Richie. That's great to, you know.
I think
Yeah.
Andrew W.K. is one of 4 bands that Kelly was never in, or Carrie was never in. Because
Well,
he's
he's been in every other band.
that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. That's like, it's easier to name the bands he's not been in. So what if I throw out the name Brad Gillis?
I don't know that guy.
Yeah.
That's probably a smart answer.
You know, I've got a relationship at some level with each one of these fellas, and doesn't happen all the time. It hasn't happened in a while, thanks to the COVID situation. But usually, if we're somewhere at a casino, like the Golden Nugget in Vegas or whatever, Brad will hit me up. We'll go, "Hey, bro, let's go down and check out the band." And before you know it, they're going to have him up, and he'll have me come up and play. I think the first night I did that with him, I played the drums, Brad played guitar with the house band at the Golden Nugget, and Kelly sang.
Wow.
Because, of course, at first, you know, was Brad didn't, at the time, didn't know my abilities, and he's like, "I'm going to get Kelly up." And Kelly's like, "Bring Richie up, man.
Yeah.
Because I play for a living, and let me get my boy up here." You know, I lived in Nashville for 7 years, so, like, you get me up there in that Vegas scene, you throw any song at me, and I got
Yeah.
you. You know.
What about?
I mean, I'm even calling him out. I played with Brad. I'm like Rocky Mountain Way. Like, because I know what he knows. You know,
Yeah.
I know he knows it. You know.
What about the name Jack Blades?
Man, I'll tell you what I said to Jack recently after my time in the studio with Kelly. I said, "Jack, you're a songwriting machine."
Yeah.
And he loved hearing that, man. And I tell you what, I listen to like a Pandora station, and I hear all different cuts that I wouldn't normally hear, and I'm like, wow. So you want to hear stuff you never heard before? Go listen to the obscure records. Stay away from the hit records. Go listen to Seven, and go listen to
Yep.
you know, Man in Motion.
Man in Motion. Neverland.
7 is one of my favorite Night Ranger records.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and we always talk about it on the podcast. It's, you know, we all have our like obscure favorite record. Like I said, mine being 7. Last but not least, Mr. Kelly Kagi.
The Boss.
Boom boom.
Yeah, man. I tell you what. People always throw it around like so-and-so is the most underrated drummer, or this guy's an underrated drummer. And I've heard that before. People will say Kelly Kagi's an underrated drummer. I don't know who's doing the ratings. You know, it doesn't seem like there's any polls going on.
Nah.
Right.
I knew coming into this that I was going to learn a lot from the gentleman, whether it's how to just be a decent person, or, you know, how to get along with your bandmates, or how not to get along with somebody. You know, drumming wise, man, he's got some cool shit. He's got some stuff that he don't even let people know about. Like, Yeah, man, the dude's talented.
Yeah.
And I think I did not make one mistake in my career path working for these guys.
That's
You know,
all. Yeah.
you know, we're in my 6th year with these cats, so
Well,
it's kind of ironic. When I came aboard, they hired a sound man at the same time. They were trying to make a Nashville-based crew while that sound man was in Nashville, and I just think upfront dealings between myself and the organization and the sound man, that like our tour manager at the time, Todd, kind of like tried to guess that I would be let go in the soon to near future, 3 to 4 months, and the other guy would have been the long haul guy when it turned around to be the opposite. He lasted
really?
about 3 months, and then we got the current sound man, Carl, who's fabulous. But I mean, at the time, I was trying to keep the commitments I currently had with Andrew W.K, not to burn any bridges. And then I finally came to Todd, the tour manager, and I was like, "Hey, I need your advice here, man." He goes, "Well, you know," "You know what I'm going to tell you?" And I said, "Yeah, you're going to tell me to quit being a rock star," and I did. So
Yeah, I can speak for these two guys over the past, decade. Every time we see Night Ranger, they never disappoint, sound-wise and performance-wise. Wherever you are, you know you're going to hear a good show.
Yeah.
And that's all because of you guys. You know,
Yeah,
of
man.
course.
I appreciate that, man. And, you know, a lot of how I judge I'm the hardest on myself, so a lot of how I judge it's like, I've always got a drum key sitting there on the floor, Tom. If I see an entire show go by and Kelly doesn't reach for that drum key, I know I've done my job right. You know? or if he does reach for it, I'm like, oh, okay, he needed a little something different, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can tune it up. It's his kit, you know.
Yeah.
Did
But
he ever consider? Oh my God, my mind just went blank.
Electronics?
No, not electronics. I'm a drummer and I can't even get the word
Triggers.
out. Triggers. Yeah, pardon me.
Well, that's why I said electronics. Well, no, he did that on the Seven Wishes tour. That was about it. You know. And I try to stay away from it. We don't need it. Nobody needs it.
No, he's great. There's a video that Josh did in Houston, 10 seconds, and it's guys coming back to do the drum solo with Kelly.
Right.
And all you hear is Kelly, you know, on the stage, and that's got to be crazy with the. I've never played with monitors in my ears, you know. I've always played with everything on stage. That's got to be nuts playing like that.
Yeah, it's cool. I just turned my volume down.
Yeah.
Brent, Andy, do you guys have any questions you guys want to throw at Richie before we let him go?
Sure.
Well, ask away.
So, I didn't know if Brent was going to go. You talk about Kelly. I say people feel like underrated to a degree. What I love about Kelly's drumming, and there's a couple of songs off the top of my head. You can do "Touch of Madness" or "Seven Wishes" that you could still hear live. And you as a drummer, you know you could play that just a simple beat, but Kelly's got this. You know, he adds to the song, which I think is amazing because so many drummers would just play a straight beat to Seven Wishes, but Kelly's doing all this stuff, and he made that song even better just by wanting something more than what a basic drum beat would be.
Right, and that where did that come from? Like, is that's A, his idea as a drummer, B, his idea as a musician, his idea as the songwriter, or a producer's idea. I mean, you can look at those songs you just mentioned as well. You said Seven Wishes.
Seven Wishes and Touch of Madness for just an example.
Right.
Because those are ones that we always hear live.
So look at Journey's "Don't Stop Believing."
Perfect example.
So Steve Smith could have played that straight on through, and instead he incorporated those toms and bell patterns.
I saw an interview where he actually he took the song home and then wrote a drum part for it instead of just like, got it, it's moving on.
That's funny, man, because like a friend of mine in Nashville is like, hey, how's Kelly? How good is he? I said, he's as good as Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Now, I got to tell you, they're apples and oranges.
Right.
Okay, and that's not saying anything bad against either one of them. Steve's
Sure.
a little bit more on the technical end because he's more of a educator and has all this instructional stuff out. And like he studied side by side with Vinnie Colaiuta at Berkeley.
Yeah.
Like Steve.
Heavy
actually,
jazz.
I told these guys in my interview, I said, well, Josh, I know you want to get off here,
No, you're fine.
but
Oh.
one of the questions was in my interview with Howard was like, hey, to be fair, I interviewed two other guys. I'm going to ask you the same question. He's like, we're going to hire you, and let's say 2 or 3 months, some up-and-coming country act calls, and you take an audition, and you get the gig. What are you going to do? And I said, I'm yours. I said, I'm leaving a gig. I'm not trying to get one, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, I knew that, and I told him, I said, the only gig you'd have to worry about is if I got offered a drum tech for Journey, because Steve Smith's my favorite drummer. But I tell you what, I couldn't have lasted 6 years with Steve. I would have been lucky to last 6 months.
Yeah.
Because he's a little more demanding on a tech, and it's a totally different ballgame. You know, Kelly, it's more of it's a family, it's a relationship, and I mean, you guys interview him there. He probably didn't have anything negative to say. And, you know,
No.
If I ever didn't tighten a wing nut fully or something, or you know, it's just stuff happens, and you're juggling 3 jobs, and you're juggling more than that, because I don't just work for Kelly, and I don't just work for Eric. I work for the entire band. So if I'm doing something for one of the cats, so one of the other guys says, "Hey, Richie, you know, I kind of like split my priorities apart and take care of it both," you know.
Brent, you got anything you wanted to?
Brent?
No, you pretty much, since Andy saved me on triggers, I just lost the word. I don't know how. I
Well,
can't tell you.
I'd love to trigger the kick drum.
Yeah.
I used to take that on death metal tours, and when I played with Andrew, and I would mount a microphone in the kick, and then I'd use a no-hole front head. I unported.
Yeah.
So to keep the artwork, and then I would have the microphone mounted with the cable just running through the vent hole. I'd kind of like do it my way, and then I'd run a trigger as well. So that's what I did there.
Well,
And
explain to people what a trigger is. You know.
Okay, a trigger is a piezo. It's something that's going to pick up the signal of an impact on a drum head, which then sends that signal to a converter, which we call a brain.
Yeah.
A drum. We call it a drum brain, a module, a sampler, and then that triggers that sound. That's where the word trigger comes in. And then you have that into the system, and boom, you get an instantaneous. A lot of speed metal drummers use it because they can really turn the sensitivity down because they don't put a lot of power behind a beater that's moving too fast.
Yeah.
Or they'll have a built-in trigger to the pedal. And some people that aren't as informed on what it is, they call that cheating, but it's just whatever makes you do whatever you can to get the sound to be
Right.
accurate and reliable.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I wouldn't only just run a single trigger. I have a second trigger as a backup, or you have a second module as a backup. You could go into. I've worked for bands with backing tracks, and then sometimes you have. Not only do you have all that, then you have like a UPS in case you lose power, and then you have an automatic switcher, so that like when if the first Pro Tools rig goes down, boom, the switcher does it automatically. The UPS keeps the power from dropping. Everything, like when we're talking to stuff like that, you're talking about artists like Pink or Miley Cyrus or some of these bands that these singers are wearing the headset mic and they get accused of lip syncing, but they're also doing these acrobatics that they won't. You're not gonna have the wind to sing that lyric, so you have to have it in the backing track. So it's all about a show, and we always say that the show must go on, and we always say that this is show business. But I think Josh, if you remember from last weekend or a couple weeks ago, I might have said, no, this is not show business, man. This is or music business. This is business music. This is business show. That word business, because we get a bad rap, man.
Yeah.
I sliced up my thumb a couple days ago. I had to break into my house. I locked my keys, and I had a gig that night. So I'm at the clinic trying to get this thing sewed up. I'm like, hey, this is a little bit too much rap. I said, I got to play drums tonight, and they looked at me like, you don't have to play. I'm like, no, it's a job. I don't have anybody else to fill in for me. I have to go suffer through this if it means I'm going to bleed through my wound. You know, it's like, that's what you do, man. It's all about blood, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You dedicate your life to something. And we kind of get a bad rap by other humans. It's like, oh, you're a musician?
Yeah.
Or like you,
and that's
Josh.
cute.
Like you, Josh. You're like, what time do you go to sleep at? 10, 11? You're like, oh, can't do it that late, man. I think I was up till 2 a.m. last night.
Still.
I might be up late, but I could also get up at 8 a.m. or 6 a.m. if I have to.
So
I'm looking forward. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andy.
I was going to say, Rich, can I ask you, as a drumming question, what are your thoughts on, like, the roll-ins? Because Brent and I both have acoustic sets and roll-in sets. Do you have an opinion? Do you like, dislike? Do you not care?
Yeah. What rolling set do you have, Andy?
I got a TD-20 sitting right next to me here.
Spent too much money. Brent?
Yeah.
I've got the next one down. The TD-10, whatever.
TD-10. I'm rocking the TD-11, TD-9, TD-9.
Brent's got the 11.
I don't even know what it's called anymore.
Yeah.
I actually got lucky and got the last one that I would have bought. Like, I think the TD-9 is about as far advanced as I'd want to go. If I had about $8,000 laying around that I could spend, I would go straight up with Yamaha. I love electronic drums. I could play them right now, man.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. At night, I can just put headphones on and I can just go to town and nobody. All you hear is the patter.
No.
Right. Well, I'm faced with a situation here. I'm living in an apartment. I moved to Florida in October to be back around family and parents while they're in their 80s and healthy.
Good.
They're in their elderly years and healthy instead of trying to move back when somebody's ill. So I'm here. I'm 10 miles from my parents' house. I live in an apartment. I just started teaching drum lessons. So I have a student at a music store, and hopefully to get more. I just brought a bunch of stuff down there today because I can't really drum in the apartment, but I do have a bedroom, which I'm going to semi-soundproof with some sound blankets. I've already cut a couple songs. I do remote recording sessions. I have a best friend of mine who lives in France, and he does a lot of YouTube guitar instructional stuff for the Beatles. So he sends me songs, and I record them like about 2 in the afternoon. I make sure nobody's around the apartment complex on a Friday or Saturday. I don't need to play for 4 hours. I can play the drums 20 minutes and record this song.
Yeah.
I do 5-6 times. I go in and I edit it. I make a comp. That's why I like the electronics. I can edit better there, but then you don't have the live cymbals. So
Yeah.
everything's got its pros and cons.
I have Go ahead, Brent.
My wife says my set is as bad as an acoustic set, and I'm like, you have no clue.
No.
We've been married 20 years, and I've never played my acoustic set in the house.
Yeah, you
And
would
she's like,
definitely know. The
I mean,
neighbors will know.
if you're downstairs and I'm upstairs playing, you can hear it through the floor. You know, me hitting the pads, the bass drum, and what have you. But it's not nearly as bad as an acoustic set.
You could isolate it. Yeah, you get the old, back when you could get plywood for $15, you'd put a bunch of tennis balls under it. But now that sheet's about $80. And
I know. I just tried to do so. I'm building a little soundproof part of my basement, and I was like, screw that. I have another drum question for you real quick.
Yeah,
do you have
keep them.
I might have to friend you on Facebook so we can talk privately, but do you have, because I have a song that's the bane of my existence that I, as a drummer, I know exactly what the guy is playing. I cannot make my limbs do it, and it's the Rosanna Shuffle by Jeff Porcaro.
You can do it.
I said I know what he's playing. I just can't get my limbs to just. I can't get the ghost notes going. I just can't get it to sound right. So do you have a song like that you just like sticks with you and you can just work on it?
I mean, that song, I played it live, and I would make sure that I rehearsed it a couple times before doing that particular gig with a band. For me to sit down and play it for you right now, I'd sound a little rough.
Right.
I get through it about 3 or 4 times, it all comes back to me. Yeah, you know why? Jeff Porcaro was such the most talented motherfucker to walk the planet when it came to recording drums.
Yes.
I mean, I got Shuffle on Pandora today, and Lowdown comes on, and I'm like, yes, Boss Skaggs. You know, like.
Lido, the Lido. That's
we know Shuffle.
That's,
you know.
It's the same thing, and I'm just but I would say, so is there a song that sticks with you that you just like, shit, I got to keep working on the song because I'm never going to play it live. I just need to know that I can play it.
Yeah, no, I mean I don't know how to
Oh, that just deflated me.
Well,
I just stay away from Neil Peart.
That is the reason why we are interviewing Richie Russo and not Andrew Parker.
Andy, what song is the bane of your existence?
Well, for me, it's Rosanna.
Really?
Toto,
Really?
But, well, and I've never got the intro to Subdivisions down right by Rush.
Oh man.
I mean, I watch it, I love it, but I'm like, I get lost. I just get lost watching Neil play. You know.
I mean, when you're talking about odd time, it's one thing.
Yeah.
I try to avoid odd time signatures unless you're at 5 or 7. If I don't care about it, you know, like Dream Theater had to bust out a calculator to write songs. Oh man. If we got 19 left. If we could fit 14 and 6 here and take away 2, and I'm like, what do I got to do? Remove my shoe? It's like no. So no, I don't. I'm not a. I'll play it and I'll learn it, but
it doesn't interest me either.
There's no song. I don't think. I mean, nothing really kicks my ass. Trying to maybe play "Don't Stop Believing." I try to play it as true to the form, but I just get I make it mine. I always have this conversation with different drummers. They're like, you could go to the song "Use Me Up" by Bill Withers, right? So
I have a story about that song.
I have a purist drummer friend that's like, man, if you're not playing that on the cross stick, you're not playing it right. I said, okay, you know why they did it like that, probably, bro? Because it was 2 a.m. Everybody was tired, and they're like, listen, the only way we're gonna get this track is if Sonny plays the drums a little quieter, so I can get the Fender Rhodes to pick up on the other microphone. You know, that's guys used to have to compromise in the studio because it was so, like, antiquated back then. You know, we only have multi-track recording from now, started in the late 50s for Les Paul, you know, so, you know, and then I have different views on, like, people like, well, if you're going to either be in a cover band or play a cover song, and you don't play it exact, you're not doing it justice. It's like, well, I mean, I work for different bands. I have my different views that music is interpretive. Music is meant to be played differently each time. You guys are Night Ranger fans?
Yeah.
All 3 of you?
Mm-hmm. I've heard of them.
All right. You've seen the shows?
Yes.
Have you noticed the difference from one time when you saw Sing Me Away to the second time you heard him do Sing Me Away to the third time? There's variances.
Oh, especially with Brad. Brad will do a little bit more whammy here, or, you know.
Yeah, so
that's a drink.
That's where drink. You know, I think music is up to interpretation. So there you go.
And I mean, even from the studio versions to their live versions are different.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
so there's.
You got to keep it interesting.
I'll say this because I played in a cover band we did Don't Stop Believing, and I'm gonna tell you, I never once got the bell off time bell that Steve does right. And you know what? Nobody cared.
Right.
No one knows. I know. Brent.
I would know.
No. But I would try to work it. I'm like, you know what? No one gives a crap. They're drunk, and they're singing at the top of their lungs. They're not going, hey, Andy's off time on the bell.
Well, and here's the thing. Steve is actually hitting the bell of the ride cymbal. Dean Castronovo put an ice bell up there.
Yeah.
You know, Steve would do the cross stick on the snare drum. Dean Castronova has a rolling pad that he plays a cross stick on. I'm not knocking it. That's how you get that sound through to the PA, so it's crystal clear.
Yeah.
But to each his own, you know.
So, Richie, 2021 going forward, what is in store for you?
Well, you know, it's kind of funny. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day. He's like, "Man, you're a hustler." I'm like, well, basically, I was at a music school talking to somebody about trying to get in to teach lessons there. He's like, "Man, if you can bring in the clientele, that's great. We just got to coordinate a day with the other teacher and this and that." And he's like, "I need a sign built. Somebody just ran over my sign." I'm like, "Oh, I used to work for a sign guy. Let me put it together for you." And the sign guy was like, "Man, you're a hustler." And so I got another music store on the way other end of town that I'm teaching drums at, and they need a sign, you know. So like, yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a hustler. I just think I got my ears to the ground on certain things. Where a buddy of mine in Nashville put a posting on Facebook a couple days ago, had a picture of a pearl tom-tom. Any of my drummer friend buddies got a match to this? I'm looking for a 12-inch tom. So instead of like replying on the post, I text him directly. I'm like, "Here's a picture. Is this what you're looking for?" He goes, "Yeah." So I got it in a box ready to go. Like, you know, it's like, yeah, if you're looking for something, I might have a lead on it, or you got a crazy drum groove you can't figure out, I might be able to help you with it. Like, you know, I'm going to be doing lessons, and hopefully for some virtual lessons if I can do them.
And if you're interested in lessons or anything, you'd probably do them at, you probably have like I said, the place in Florida, but you also can do them over the internet, correct?
Yeah, I could do them over Skype. So I have my electronics set in my living room with a couple of speakers in case I needed to do something like that.
So if you are interested in getting drum lessons from the one and only Richie Russo, drum technician for the Maestro named Kelly Kagi, just leave a message on the YouTube video or the Fans in Motion, and we will get you in contact with Richie.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. And so Kelly Kagi is, and that's how I pronounce it. Most people that pronounce it correctly usually call it Kagi. Some people say Kegi or KG, but
or Kigi.
Kigi. Now, I also recorded drums for a Christian artist, guitar player by the name of Phil Kagi.
Yeah.
Which is 1G. And there's no relation. And Phil lives in Nashville, and Kelly was living in Nashville at the time. Could never put those two together, although we tried. It's kind of funny. Each person wanted to meet each other, but, circumstances. So I've done some recordings on Phil's record. I've recorded with different Christian artists, Randy Stonehill, and now the late Kenny Marks. And I do a bulk of my recording with my friend Mike Pacelli. And then, so I'm on about 12 to 14 different CDs. Most of them are Mike Pacelli. One is a Sean Chambers blues record. There's even a heavy metal one called Steel Aggressor. I'm on a couple of Andrew W.K. recordings, and as well live footage on DVD as well. And I currently record for a couple of clients still up in Nashville. One band is called The Bloody Nerve. We do ongoing releases every 2 to 3 months. Somebody could hit me up. I could give you the 411 and everything. I don't harbor a website anymore. I used to. It became unfrivolous. I would spend money and not really receive much return. Right. But living in Nashville, we kind of needed something credible to show when you do audition. Matter of fact, somebody hired me for a 6-week tour. Actually, it wasn't a tour. It was a residence in Montana. We played every 4th day at the Marlboro Ranch. in Bozeman, Montana.
Really?
Was a singer out of Tuscaloosa or Muscle Shoals, Alabama, who did this gig about once a year for about 10 years. And he would hire a Nashville-based band to play his covers and originals. And if you are a cigarette smoker and you won the contest for Marlboro, they flew you out. You stayed on this ranch for about 4 nights. You got a ranch experience. Then on your last night, you go in the saloon and hear a 90-minute set from a Nashville-based band. And I was the drummer from that. And the guy hired me based on my performance video I sent him of me playing on the Conan O'Brien show with Andrew W.K. with a actually 3 bass drum
Awesome.
set. So you drummer guys, friend request me there, Andy.
Yeah.
And,
Listen, we're gonna start a new podcast called Hot Drum Talks, Hot Drum Takes.
Yeah, let's do it, man. I need the views, and I need some students. And
Hey.
But hey, man, here's the deal. Like I tell you what, anybody interested in drum lessons or recordings, I'm fair with my prices. I'll work with your budget. If you want some drum advice from me, I'm not going to break your bank. Don't worry, Andy. I'll teach you Rosanna, man. We'll get it going. So,
Do you know how many times I've watched the instructional video of Picaro showing you how he lifted the bass drum part from Fool in the Rain, and they took the Purdy shuffle, and I'm like, I know what you're doing. I can't do it.
You can't do it. Well, that was in the '80s, and he did those Starlicks videos.
Yeah.
And well,
awesome.
I got to tell you, if you wanted to be on Picaro's page at the time, you had to be on Picaro's page at the time. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
he was coked out of his mind on that in that video. Yeah. I've heard stories. Unfortunately, I never got to see the man perform live.
I didn't either.
But you know, I tell you what, I heard a song on the radio one day, blew my mind, and it was an instrumental song. And I knew when that song ended, I knew that was Jeff Picaro on drums. So the radio announcer was like, all right, that's the new release from Les Dudek, Assault and Battery. You can get it on his Deeper Shades of Blues record. Guess what? I got the Deeper Shades of Blues record by Les Dudek. And out of the 10 or 11 tracks, it's Jeff Picaro on all 10. And a Nashville cat named David Northrup on one song. And David is like one of the guys who can play just like Jeff Picaro. In addition to Shannon Forrest, who's the current Toto drummer.
Yeah.
Shannon is more like Jeff than Jeff was. Like, you know, for 10 or 15 years, maybe they had Simon Phillips, totally different drummer. And then you bring in Shannon Forrest, and it's like, Jeff's back. You know, it's like.
Richie, thank you for coming on. If you guys are at a show and you see Richie out there working, yell hello to him, say thank you, stay the hell out of his way.
Give him one of these.
You know,
Don't ask for a set list.
Oh yeah.
And let the band know that the reason why you're actually buying a ticket is for the Richies and the Howards and the Eds and the Carls. That's why we're there, because the best damn road crew that's out there. Richie, thank you for coming on, my friend. And hopefully it's not the last time. But thank you for joining us.
Right on, Josh, Andy, Brent. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. You want to do a follow-up? This 90 minutes went quick. We got a lot more to talk about.
We could go drums for hours.
We will take you up on that.
All right, there you have it. Another great interview. Richie Russo, man, how about that? It's so cool. And again, I said this in the intro, and I hope that, Josh, you've got these inroads now. These peek behind the curtain things are awesome. You know, we've seen plenty of interviews with the band members, and trust me, we still want those. But I love this behind the scenes stuff. And so thanks, Richie, for being part of this, man. You're awesome. And Look forward to maybe more of this this type stuff.
And if you see these guys, at the venues, say hi to them. Just like I said, stay out of their way. They're working.
Yeah.
But, let them know that you're appreciative. And, thanks, Richie, for coming on. And hopefully we get to, keep doing some more stuff like this. It's all fun, man. It's all good.
It is.
So,
At the end of the day, man, we're just a handful of guys talking about a band we love and getting some behind the scenes stuff. You can't get this anymore, man. Rip Magazine doesn't exist. You got to get it from us.
And if you're one of the first time listeners, find us on Facebook. Just go to Facebook, search Fans in Motion Night Ranger, click join.
Yeah.
You can find us on the internet, www.fansinmotion.com.
And you've got YouTube. You can find us there. Subscribe and like to YouTube. You've got all the big podcatchers have us, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Audio Mac, Pandora, Amazon. Subscribe, leave comments. Let us know if you like it or don't like it. And most importantly, spread the word. Tell one person. Everybody tells one person. This thing gets bigger. This night machine gets bigger.
If you go to the Facebook page and you go to right here, I think your guys might not have that manage button, but this invite, if you hit that invite, it will pull up your friends list, and all you got to do is hit those blue buttons, and it sends them an invite to our page. Spam the fuck out of them.
Yes.
It's not spam because it's something they want.
They
are going to get that and like, wow, I needed this.
Like I always say, the only podcast you didn't know you needed. It's that simple.
They know there's a hole in their life somewhere.
Yeah, it's a hole in their sun,
and they are searching to feel completed. And what they don't know is that it's us.
Boom.
Bada bing.
With that, I say to you, say goodbye, Josh.
Later. That was fucking awesome.